I mean, what I would have said to him would have been, I would kind of would have rephrasing how he said it.
Rephrasing, actually rephrasing. Okay, go ahead. Uh-huh. Anything else? Anybody on that wheel?
Okay, how I would have wanted to react,
Go ahead.
or
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
how I should have responded.
Either way, you pick it out and give it to us. We're just trying to learn from it.
I probably would have stopped, listened to what till he finished what he had to say, and
Yeah.
I would have tried to, okay, be assertive, expressing my feelings, stating possibly my need to be able to understand him without him yelling at me.
Wow. You know you're going to win the award, don't you?
I hope so. I don't know what for, but I hope some kind of award.
Okay, so let me tell you, this case, of course, had to go to court. And the officer, this is what he told the judge. He says, someone had gotten run over by a car in the same area, which is why I was there. And he says, all I was trying to do was keep her from getting hit by an automobile. I was just going to give her a warning. So back to what you just said a minute ago, she could have used assertiveness, stated her needs, expressed her feelings, any of those things or as many of those things as possible, and gotten away with it. Because again, jaywalking is not a big deal. But the way she did it, that's like an assault on a police officer. And so again, she lost her job as an RN. That's a big deal. And she lost, 4 months in jail. I mean, everything went wrong for her. But what I want to show you guys is what I did. This lady was an excellent student, and I had to see her for a whole year. So she was there a long time. So what I did at the end of the year, I called the California Nursing Board. I told them who I was. I told them who she was. And I said, this has been one of the best students that I've ever had in an anger management class. And I was wondering if there's any way that the board would be willing to intervene and grant her relicensure before the time, in other words, renew her license. And so they said that they would present it to the board, and they did. I called the judge personally, and the court clerk said he's on the bench. And I said, would you tell him that George Anderson called, and it's important that I speak with him? I am not uncomfortable approaching anyone. And it's surprising that I get so many of the things that I want just by asking. So I called the judge. He called me back. And I said, I hate to bother you, Jan. I know you're busy. I talk very fast. And I said, I have a lady who you had sentenced a year ago, and she's finishing now. And I called the nursing board, and they agreed that they would reinstate her. And I was wondering, she's on probation with you. Is there any way that you would be willing to end her probation sooner? He said, Anderson, he said, I really, really like the way you work. He says, she also owes me a fine. I'm going to forgive the fine, and I'm going to do the same thing. So now I'm asking you, are the steps that I took, would that be emotional intelligence? Anybody?
Yes.
And so why can't we do that? In other words, what I'm saying is I don't want to ask these people in my group to do something that I wouldn't do. And so that now the funny story, Raj, I'm always doing something a little bit different. And so I'm 85 years old and I love to speed. I used to have sports cars. I used to have an MJB, which is British made. And last one, I had a Lotus and so on. And so there's a certain place in LA that I love to speed. It's between Pico and National on Sawtell. And so I'm speeding and I see a policeman on a motorcycle and he's not moving. He's just sitting on the cycle, but he has a speed gun on my car. And so that I know I'm speeding and so that I don't wait for him to do anything. I just pull over and stop. So he walks up to the car and he says, "Sir, you're speeding. You can look at the speed gun. You were driving 57 in a 25-mile zone." He says, "There's a preschool over there, and there's a junior high school over there." I pulled up in the seat so that I was leaning closer to him in the window. I said, "Officer, I have no excuse whatsoever. I was speeding and I deserve the consequences of speeding." Donna, did I get a ticket?
You could have for the consequences.
No, I didn't ask you that. Based
Okay.
on the story that I told, do you think I got a ticket or not?
I probably would have given you one.
I would say,
I'm glad you're not my policeman.
I'm going to say no. Just Lisa, I'm going to say no because I experienced that and I didn't get a ticket.
Not only that, you just have to think about it. What did I do?
Because you,
Did I take responsibility? I try to get out of it.
yes, you took responsibility for what you did.
And so that if you look at the chart, was I assertive? It's right there.
Yes.
Assertive. Was
Yeah.
I assertive?
Yes.
And so I didn't ask for anything. I just used assertive communication. And you could say that I was focused. And did I get honest feedback?
And I think active listening too.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So now listen, I still speed. So I'm speeding again, same place. This is emotional intelligence. So you can't see me, or you can maybe. But in any case, this officer was a young officer. He comes up to the car and he has a speed gun in his hand, but his hand is shaking with the speed gun. What should I tell myself about him?
He was new.
He was new, but what else? His hand was shaking.
Nervous.
Nervous.
He was nervous. So what does that mean I should do? But I use emotional. First of all, it's called self-awareness and social awareness. The social awareness is that I tell myself, this guy is really nervous. That's what I tell myself. I don't want to play any games with him. And so he says, "Are you running late for a meeting or something?" And I said, "No, not running late." I said, "I was speeding. I deserve a ticket. Nothing else I can say." He said, "I'm going to give you a warning because you were honest." So I didn't get a ticket. I almost never get tickets. So this is another one. I'm on with Highway Patrol, Los Angeles. I'm going to San Jose, which is where my mother-in-law lived. I'm getting off the freeway, and I didn't stop at the stop sign. When you get off the freeway, there's a little stop sign, and I didn't stop. So the highway patrolman, I could see that he was behind me, but he didn't have his lights on. Listen to how I do things. Even before they're going to get me, I already stopped. So I stopped. So he came up, and this was the most unusual request that I've ever had. He said, "Do you know why I stopped you?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Why?" I said, "I did not make a complete stop." And he said, "Why not?" I said, "Because I come this way a lot. And I says, all the food that's at the restaurants in this area, the food was grown in this area. So it's around Bakersfield. And I said, it also, the gas is cheaper. And so I didn't stop because I was thinking, should I get my gas first or should I eat first? And so I said, I was preoccupied. And I said, so that was it. So he said, okay. So he goes back to the car and checks the computer or whatever they do. And he comes back and he said, talk me out of giving you a ticket. And I just laughed. And I said, okay. I said, I was honest. I didn't try to manipulate it in any way. Besides, I said, I work for you guys. He says, pardon? I said, I have a contract with the Highway Patrol. I provide anger management for uniform law enforcement. He said, wow. And then the second car came over. He said, will you tell my buddy what you do? And I told him. Both of them said, hey, say something like, pay attention going forward, sir, or something like that. And that was the end of that. What's the moral of the story? Do I practice emotional intelligence so far? I try. And so the other point is that I think that we should use uh, our connection with the court system in particular, based on providing services for courts in a positive way. And so that there are times in which, maybe it wasn't the best decision, but I don't want to get in a bad relationship with any of the courts. But when I asked the judge to uh, release the lady from her probation or sooner, I didn't think that was manipulating because it wasn't something for me. And I was not doing it for her just to do it. I was doing it for her because she'd been an excellent participant. And so, again, before going to another one, and I'm only going to do probably one more, but the question that I asked, if you are teaching a class, what do you think is going to happen after a person goes through? There are only 7 examples. And so that every time you have a new person coming to a class, they're going to have their control log, and you're going to analyze their control log using the contrasting wheels of behavior. So my long question is this way of repeating over and over again different assessments using the control logs, does that teach a lesson that's likely to be remembered? I'd like for each of you to respond to that question. So, Lisa, what do you think?
Can you skip me? I got food in my mouth.
Oh, it's okay. Do you think that this is a good model for teaching?
Excellent. Because once you go over and over it, you're gonna remember it as well. Um, and I think it will definitely um help your clients.
Okay, Donna, what do you think about this way of teaching anger management?
I Yeah, it's good.
Okay. And so, Diane.
Yes, I think it's very helpful and it will help other people in the group as well.
Right. Okay. And so I'm going to give you one. Go ahead. I like that very much. The other thing is each person who is certified in this model should take the continuation course each year, which changes. And so that if there's a 4-hour continuing education, what we do is that we introduce new topics or new ways of using the material and so on. And so in this particular case, it's like Lisa had been referred by someone who took the training in New Jersey. I trained many times in New Jersey and New York. And she said it may have been 10, 12, 15 years ago. And it's accurate. But the point is, when some of them began calling me and I said, but have you taken a continuing education course? And they said, no. In which case I said, the whole books now have been rewritten so that whatever you did 15 years ago would be very different now. Because we also did not have the contrasting wheels of behavior, I don't think, at the very beginning. This was something that I developed later.
So how often do you recommend retaking it? Every 2 years, every 5 years?
No, every year. And it's not just me. It's like if you're licensed as a psychologist or as a social worker or as a marriage counseling or as a doctor, you have to take continuing education every year, or a nurse.
Okay. And yeah, that's true.
Wait a minute, hold on. I'll forget that's why I'm this way. Let's assume that you take our class in domestic violence. It's not me who says that you have to have CEUs. It's the probation department that said in order for you to continue, you have to take a CEU and it's 16 hours.
Now,
long answer.
How much is the course?
I don't know. It differs each time, so I have no. I mean, I can't give you that answer. But I wasn't talking about cost.
But it's with you, right?
You want to stay up to date, and you want to make sure that you're doing everything. The other thing is, I will give you this information tomorrow or later today.
But I'm saying the person
everyone to join LinkedIn. And Raj, I belong to 53 groups on LinkedIn, and 5 groups to all of you I own myself. And it will be good if you, everyone, join the group and become active and begin participating in responding to things that are written by other members so that you are continuing the learning even when you're not formally in a class. Does that make sense to anyone? Yeah, I'm sorry, Donna. Go ahead.
No, I even forgot now what I was asking. No, I was just asking, is the course taken through you, or the LinkedIn, or is it something like what we're doing now?
They change. I change each year depending on what I think may be useful. And so the example that I can give you is if we use, for example, a different assessment 15 years ago than the one that we use now. And so that once I changed assessments, I thought that the new people who had, the older people who had taken that training should be aware that now we use something different so they could see what it is. And so that we start off by doing what we did for you guys, give them the assessment, and then spend the balance of the time discussing the assessment. And so it may have been 16 hours or something like that. Not very long. And so what was the cost? I don't remember, but maybe $40, something like that.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the last one, and then we'll move to something different, which we'll go back to our outline. But this one, and I'm doing this for a different reason. Let's see. I'm sorry. Yeah, we're going to stick with the gaining control of ourselves, and it's example number 2. It's on page number 16. And so I'm going to read this. This is the control log. I was waiting for a parking space in a shopping mall. Another car drove in and took my space. I displayed my service revolver. He called the police on his cell phone, and I was arrested. Beliefs. The other driver was wrong, and that's that. Feelings. I was outraged. Cost of anger. I was placed on probation from my job as an immigration officer, and I have to attend 26 sessions in anger management. So before we analyze this one, what do any of you think about this lady? Is she going to be an easy person, or is she going to be difficult in the group? Anyone?
I'd say difficult.
I think difficult too, but tell me why.
Because she's an immigration officer and she had her, she was placed on probation from her job. So she's probably like upset about it.
She's definitely upset about it, but does she seem to have an attitude?
Yes.
Yes.
And since if that's the way I think or feel about her, what should we do in advance? What should we do right away? This is our first meeting.
Assessment?
Well, she's going to get the assessment also.
Oh, okay.
But so that, I'm glad you added that, because again, I learned from each session. And so I never thought about that. But the assessment she's going to get anyway. And so that the way it works is that you give feedback to the assessment on the assessment to the person individually. So it's not something that you would generally do in a group. That's not,
Okay.
that violates confidentiality. So you don't do that. You will do it if they want to, but you don't do it that way. So I'll tell you, I won't keep you waiting because you're on target here. I realized that this lady was going to be difficult. And so I said to her, "Ma'am, would you stay back?" And she stayed back. And so what I did is I went to her file and Raj, I tell you what I'm looking for. Their reports that we have to send to the court. I was looking in the facilitator's guide. I'll find it. Just give me a minute. Okay, for some reason I can't find it, but what happens is we have to send progress reports to the court periodically on a client. And so what I did is that I had her stay back. And I says, "Ma'am," I want to explain to you. Well, in fact, I could do it a different way because I can tell you what else I did include in it. Hold on. Yeah. But something that I routinely send, like a completion report, you see anything like that? Yeah. Okay. But it's a specific report. But okay, is another way that it could be done, and so that if we stick with this particular book, gain control of ourselves, it is page number 5. It says group rules. So I said, let's turn to page number 5 in your book. And I said, I have to write a report on you. And I think that you need to be aware of the fact that you don't have to want to be here, but you have to follow the group rules. And if there are any problems, I said, I have to be honest with you. You are an immigration officer. If I send a report back to the court saying that you're not cooperative, I guarantee you, you're going to lose your job. I said, if I were you, I wouldn't take a risk. So then I made her read these to me a lot. I mean, straightforward. Participants must come to class on time to all classes. Fees must be paid prior to each class and must be kept current. No participant will be permitted to complete the class until all outstanding fees are paid in full. No profanity will be permitted in class. The identity of participants as well as material discussed in the group will be kept confidential. Participants who are disruptive in the group will be reported back to the court. Our referring source is uncooperative. All group members must participate in each class. Homework assignments are expected to be completed. Any participant who appears to be under the influence of drugs or alcohol will be dismissed from the group and reported back to the court or referring source. No derogatory racial or ethnic comments will be accepted in the group. Group time will not be used to answer questions regarding any member's account balance or number of remaining sessions. All cell phones, smartphones, and other electronic devices must be shut off during classes. No texting and social media will take place during sessions. Consistent attendance is required. So I ask you, can you see the advantage of letting her know right away that she is going to have to be really, really careful? Because if there are any problems and it gets back to the court, she's going to lose her job. So what do you think about being candid with the person in advance? Is that a good strategy? Anyway.
Yes.
Why?
So they understand the consequences of not doing what they're supposed to do in group.
Okay, so let me ask you a general question, all of you, any of you. Can you see how our groups are more likely to be running just like clockwork? We don't have any problem because it's tightly structured. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. And so it's like, okay. Now, Raj, I think I need help. Okay, I don't. I go back to my outline. And so we haven't done the assessment feedback, or let's see. Do any of you have a sample of an assessment that I sent? Unfortunately, I haven't seen Rod anything. Just a second.
Assessment, let me see. It would have came from you, Raj, right?
Okay, so let me tell you what I'm doing in the interest of time.
Okay.
What I did is this is an actual file. And yeah, that's good. And so it's page number 3 from any of the assessment. Oh, do you have this is from no, it's the same one that you took. It's EQI 2.0 from multi-health systems. Yeah, it should be on my site someplace. But if you look under physicians, it should be a sample report under physicians or physician coaching. Yeah. That's it. Bar on right there. Bar on assessment is three. You have either one of them. Yeah, that's good right there. That's what I want. Turn to page 3. Damn, Raj, you're so smart, it's embarrassing. Okay, unfortunately, they can see it, and so that's good enough. So here's what I'd like you all to know, is that at the very top, it says total EI. Does everybody see that?
Yes.
Raj, stay on
Yes.
that page and scroll. Raj, stay on that page and scroll all the way down to the bottom. Okay, back a little bit more. Back, excuse me. I want to show the ranges that are at the bottom. So I need you to bring it down a little bit. Down the other way. Down. Scroll, yeah. That I just want them to see what happened is that on the bottom it has 3 ranges, a little bit more. Right there, right.
Last 3.
Okay, that's what I want to show you. There are 3 ranges at the bottom. It's a low range, mid range, high range. And then at the top, it says total EI, right? What I wanted to tell you is that based on my training in the assessment, I'm what they call a practitioner. I can tell you that, and it's something that you guys may be interested in also. There is a book that I recommend that you buy independently of me. It's called The EQ Edge. And The EQ Edge is by Steven Stein.
Steven Stein.
Can they see this, Raj?
How you spell Stein? S-T-I-M-E?
Stein, S-T-E-I-N. Steven Stein.
Oh, N. Oh, Stein. Okay.
And the title of the book is The EQ Edge. It's really, really fascinating. And the whole book has like 354 pages, and the whole book is devoted to this instrument that we're going through. But what it does is that on the back, it gives you a list of some professions, and it tells you, it's like in the back, it tells you the 5 competencies that are most important in certain professions. So let me give you an example, because one that you will find very interesting. Let's assume that you work in customer services. Is anyone who's ever heard of Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York?
Yes.
Okay, that had been a super luxury hotel for many, many years. or now we have something called the Ritz-Carlton. Anybody heard of that?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
super expensive. Well,
Mm-hmm.
what you don't know is that all of their staff are trained in emotional intelligence. And so that what this book does, it tells you what are the five most important skills or scales for a person who's going to score high in customer service. 1, stress tolerance. 2, assertiveness. 3, happiness. 4, interpersonal relationships. 5, self-actualization. And so that if you were to contrast that with, let's say, someone who's in insurance sales, it would be assertiveness for them, self-regard, happiness, stress tolerance, self-actualization, okay? And so that back to our physicians and the scale, at the top, all physicians should score between 110 and 135. Okay? That's what your score should be. So keep that in mind. And at the bottom is the same thing. I tell you, high range. All physicians should score in a high range. I don't know if you can see it, probably not, but I have a real physician who I saw, and the person is in Saudi Arabia and was doing COVID, right? And so, Raj, can you tell me whether or not there's any way they can see this?
Yes.
Okay, look carefully. Can anyone see the number at all regarding any of these scales?
Yes.
Just pick out anything and tell me what you see.
Um, uh,
Okay, that's okay. You guys stick with the page and I'll show you I'll do it. Actually, I hadn't thought about it. Go back to that page so that they can see it, right? So I'll go with the real thing. This particular physician scored 94. So you see, he wasn't even in the mid-range. He was in the low range, right? I guess. Now, 94 would have been between 90 and 100, right? But then, okay, and so that as we go down the scale, he scores exactly 90 in empathy. So now if your doctor has a score of 90 in empathy, how is he going to behave toward you? Way positive or way negative?
What was his score again? 92?
94.
No, okay. Empathy score was 90, and
Oh.
which means he's right at the tip of mid-range.
He wouldn't have too much compassion.
Okay, that's good. That's the way I want you to say. And so that the same doctor scored in reality testing 82. Right?
He lives in Disneyland? No.
So would you want him to be your surgeon?
No.
No. And so that this is not manufactured. This is a real life human being that I got paid $8,000 to see. And so that since I had never seen anything quite like this with a doctor, from the moment I received it, I contacted him and I said, I think I'd like to give you the assessment again. And he says, why? I said, I believe that your results are incorrect. And he said, no. He says, I told the truth because I need your help.
Mm.
He says, I am from Egypt. I had COVID. I was on a ventilator for 50 days. I never received a single visitor or call. My family's in Egypt. Did everybody hear me?
Yes, very
Did
much.
you see why his
Yeah.
scores were low?
Yes.
I was so embarrassed I didn't know what to do. How stupid could I get? Anyway, I didn't know, but COVID changed the world. I mean, it really, really has been something. And so that I just wanted to give you an example. Let's stick with this, stick with this guy, stick with the same one, 82 on reality testing. So, Raj, what I want you to do is go to, see if I can find the page. Reality testing. Raj, go to page 14. Mm-hmm. 14. Reality testing. I'm explaining this to you because I want you to see how detailed our work really is. And so, who is there anybody who would like to volunteer to? No, they don't have it. Raj, why don't you read what your score means? Yeah, I want you to read the whole thing. There's no urgency because I'm into it. I liked it. What your score means. Read the whole page, or almost. Let me take over now because what I was wanting to see is that I want to talk to them about the impact work, and I want them to see that everyone, including you guys, when you get your own results is going to tell you what you can do to improve your score. So I'll tell you the impact at work regarding my doctor. It says your ability to accurately assess another's emotional state or a situation may be skewed by your underdeveloped reality testing skills. You may fall victim to gathering information that fits your pre-existing assumptions, finding evidence to support what you want to see versus what actually exists. So remember, his score is very, very low. And that's what the problem is 82. And it's in the low range, clearly in the low range. Because 90 would be mid, so he's clearly in the low range. Then it says social and behavior implication. When your emotions or personal biases prevent you from remaining objective, you may be compromising your credibility in the eyes of your colleagues. In business today, you must walk the fine line between setting lofty stretch goals and realistic, achievable goals that everyone can commit to. you gravitate toward the unrealistic side of this line, and as a result, pursue goals that others would consider far-fetched and misaligned with the operating environment. In extreme cases, your perception of reality may cause impairment in work functioning, as you tend to see situations as you wish them to be rather than as they truly are. So that this doctor is not going to be very effective and efficient. I, for example, have had 5 surgeries on the same eye. So I certainly wouldn't want an eye surgeon with a score like that. The next one is a strategist for action. This is when it's telling you what you can do. It says, stop the self-talk. Reducing the irrational self-talk that clouds your judgment will help strengthen reality testing. When you're required to make a decision, size up the situation, or give advice, go through a mental SWOT analysis as soon as you find yourself relying on pre-existing assumptions. I've had bad experiences with consultants, so I'm sure this new consultant will be even worse. This is what the doctor is saying to himself. Find evidence for strengths, weaknesses, threats, and opportunities. Then ask a trusted colleague to go through the same SOT process to make sure that what you identify is confirmed by an outside source. You want someone else to help you see things as they really are. Practical advice: breaking a problem or decision down into small, practical steps can help you stay focused on the reality of the situation and not what you wish would happen. Practical actions are specific steps that need to be taken, resources that need to be gathered, buy-in you need to secure in order to make a decision. Listing practical actions help you stay grounded under pressure by keeping your focus on specific tasks required to reach a bias-free decision. So the importance, again, of an assessment that is what's called validated is absolutely critical in determining whether or not whatever it is that you're offering works. And so it's the same thing. After I finish with the doctor, my coaching, 12 sessions, then I give them the same one again to see to what extent changes have occurred. So I realize I'm spending a little bit too much time maybe and getting behind a little bit. But any questions so far on any things that I covered?
Oh,
Okay. Then I'd like to look at pages 4 and 8, which would be goals, group objectives, group responsibility. I already did the group rules. And so 4 to 8, and this in this client workbook, I believe. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Let me tell you why I'm willing to spend so much time on this. It doesn't happen often, but one of the things that happens in, let's say, schools, if you don't know what to do with a student, sometimes you will send him or her to anger management or to take some kind of class that's not related to academia, okay? And so I was seeing a guy for a year, and at the end he says to me, I am still depressed. And so I ask you all, is an anger management group the place to send a person who's depressed? Raj, can anybody hear me?
yes, I can hear you. I'm trying to decide.
Is an anger management a place to go to get help for someone who's depressed?
No.
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 And so how do you guard against it? Well, you guard against it by having the goals and group objectives in the first place. And so you don't wait until at the end. It's on page number 4. And so that someone who really likes reading aloud, would you read the goals and group objectives? So we make sure that we know what an anger management group is for.
Oh,
Yeah, go
why
ahead and
aren't
read
you
it.
going to page 4 for us? Or we got to go for the book?
We went to the goals before?
No, I was asking Raj, was he going to the one on the screen, or did we have to go to the book?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Raj, can you bring the goals on the Gain and Control book? Okay, no problem. Page number 4. Well, if it's easier for me to do it, I don't really mind. And don't worry, we're going to have some videos in the afternoon, so you won't be bored with me doing all of this.
Four. You said page 4.
Page number 4, we're going to start with the goals, and we're only going to do goals and objectives, and we'll be completed with this section. And chances are we can take a lunch break. Okay.
So you said read the goals?
Yeah, goals.
Oh, okay, about it. As soon as Raj get back to it. Yeah. I'm trying to, okay. Oh, start from the top, from the beginning? I thought you wanted.
It's just 2 sections. Goals is only a
okay, just read the goals. Okay.
Group objectives.
So let me just make it smaller on my screen. My screen was so big. The program is designed, I'm on my phone, so that's why it's smaller. The program is designed to help individuals recognize and manage anger and stress. Well, why are you doing something? What you do? One of the goals is to teach acceptable ways of expressing anger. By gaining a better understanding of self, we will learn to better control our anger so that it does not lead to violent outbursts or actions that are harmful to others. Also, we will devote lessons to improving communications so that we may become better listeners and communicators to prevent angry situations. Lastly, we will learn different techniques for stress management and enhancing emotional intelligence. Participants are encouraged to complete all of the exercises in the book and practice applying the techniques in real life situations. In addition, emotional intelligence skill enhancement exercises from the bar on EQI emotional intelligence will be used in this coaching program.
Okay, thank you. I'll do the last section, which is group objectives. At the end of this course, participants will be able to, 1, recognize the role of individual responsibility in changing maladaptive behavior. In other words, you don't come to the group and expect to kick back and then gain anything. The answer is no. And that's why we have in the group rule, you have to participate at every meeting. Develop a working understanding of one's own anger/stress patterns and responses. Identify situational triggers that consistently result in anger responses and can lead to aggressive behavior. Eliminate or minimize negative behavior. Learn how and when to use timeouts to prevent aggressive confrontations. Combine new coping skills to handle anger, stress, and other feelings. Use communication skills and listening techniques effectively and gain a better understanding of how children in one's family can be affected by parental techniques. Become more aware of one's own stress and anger. Develop the capacity to sense the mood of persons with whom he or she must interact. Increase skills in emotional intelligence including self-awareness, self-control, social awareness, and relationship management. Okay. What I suggest that we do is, we don't have time, or do we? Raj, do we have time to see one video from Gaining Control of Ourselves? Just maybe the first one? You passing it, it's right in there, isn't it? Yeah. That's the first one, it's fine.
Gaining Control of Ourselves
I can say it.
by George Anderson and John Elder. Your success in this course is entirely dependent upon your honest investment in practicing skills which are described in the client workbook and in mastering the material. This is your opportunity to increase your emotional intelligence, enhance communication skills, and learn to manage stress and anger. Introduction. Learning to manage anger results in improved interpersonal skills. This class is designed to help individuals recognize and manage anger by improving communication, increasing empathy, and managing stress. Agenda. The following topics will be covered in the class. Anger management assessment. Anger, stress, emotional intelligence, communication. The assessment and feedback will take 1 hour. The discussion of anger will take 2 hours with quizzes included. Stress will take 2 hours with exercises and quizzes included. Emotional intelligence, empathy, will be covered in 2 hours, including videos and experiential exercises. Communication will be examined in 2 one-hour sessions. The post-test and summary will consist of 1 hour. Overview. Anger and stress are 2 factors that tend to occur in an act of aggression toward another person. Recognizing and improving skills in anger management, stress management, empathy, and assertive communication are the keys to improving relationships with others. All of these will be covered in this class. Vocabulary. Anger is a feeling of displeasure, which usually shows itself in a desire to fight back at the supposed cause. Stress is the mismatch between the demands made on us and our ability to meet those demands. Emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the capacity to create positive outcomes in relationship to yourself and others. Good communication skills require 2 sets of skills: accurate receiving and accurate sending. The anger management map. The anger management map is a positive approach to skills that are important for anger management. It provides a map or guide for your growth and change. By understanding your anger management map, you may become more aware of your strengths, identify areas of possible change and growth related to anger management. Map results may be used in planning skill building activities that will help you succeed.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments? What that really does is, again, it's very first video. And so that it's probably 9 or 12. Do you remember how many are in this whole batch, Raj? Did this, by the way, this came from the website. Were you able to find the entire video in the YouTube channel? Yeah. What I would like to explain to them is that The value of using videos is that they're very brief, and it's a good idea to show them in relation to topics that are covered in the client workbooks. And so what I've done is, if you listen to this one, is really just an introduction, which is all we've been doing today anyway. And in the process, they introduce the old version of the assessment, which was the maps that they talk about. But I already talked to you a little bit just a second ago regarding the EQ Edge, which is the assessment that we use now. Okay. If you can't find it, it doesn't matter. What we can do is it's 9. Okay, then we're going to no, we can't. I don't know. They have access to the YouTube anyway, as well as this website. But just for the hell of it, why don't we just do one more, because they're really very brief. Can we do number 2?
Best morning routine for manifesting more money
Okay.
is an alpha meditative practice. You may
So we have a link to all of this. Oh, I mean, before we can view it on YouTube.
The answer is yes. I do want them to have access to it.
Can you share the link if you
We're
have
going
it?
to. You're going to have a copy of this anyway. Remember?
Oh, okay. I just wanted the link. Okay.
Oh yeah. No, that's the whole point.
anger and stress, 2 factors that tend to occur in an act of aggression towards another person. Recognizing and improving skills in anger management, stress management, empathy, and assertive communication are keys to improving relationships with others. All of these will be covered in this class. Vocabulary. Anger is a feeling of displeasure, which usually shows itself in a desire to fight back at the supposed cause. Stress is the mismatch between the demands made on us and our ability to meet those demands. Emotional intelligence is a capacity to create positive outcomes in relationship to yourself and others. Good communication skills requires 2 sets of skills: accurate receiving and accurate sending. Anger control log. Briefly describe the incident which resulted in your decision to take this class. What did you want to happen in this situation? What caused you to think that your action would get the results you wanted? What feelings were you having? What was the impact of your action on you? Did any past violence or aggression on your part affect this situation? What could you have done differently? Give an example. Destructive interactions. Which of the following negative interactions best describe your behavior in the incident mentioned in your control log? Inattention, intimidation, controlling, manipulation, hostility, rage, avoidance, interrupting. Constructive interactions. Which of the following healthy interactions might you have used to improve the situation in your control log? Active listening, focusing, seeking compromise, rephrasing, expressing feelings, stating needs, assertiveness, honest feedback. Anyone can become angry, that is easy. But to be angry with the right person, to the right degree, at the right time, for the right purpose, and in the right way, that is not easy. Aristotle. Anger and you. Which of Aristotle's challenges do you have the most difficulty with? Being angry with the right person, being angry to the right degree, being angry at the right time, being angry for the right purpose, being angry in the right way. Anger. What is it? What causes it? Anger is a reaction to an inner emotion and not a planned action. Anger is a secondary emotion. Anger is learned. Anger is a normal human emotion. Anger is a problem when it is harmful to you or someone else. The heavy cost of anger. Here are 5 specific signals that will tell you when your anger is creating problems for you. When it is too frequent, when it is too intense, when it lasts too long, when it leads to aggression, when it destroys work, school, or personal relationships. Anger is an energizer. Anger sends signals to all parts of our body to prepare us for a physical fight. Anger is a secondary emotion. A primary emotion is what we feel just, often unconsciously, before we feel angry. Identify the primary emotion. Communicate your feelings. Anger is often a response to fear. Anger, a powerful teacher. Anger is an intense emotion. It is evidence that we feel strongly about something. As with every emotion, it has a lesson for us. It can teach us what we value, what we need, what we lack, what we believe, and what our insecurities are. It can help us become more aware of what we feel strongly about and which emotional needs are important to us, learning from anger. One way to learn from anger is shown in the example below. Instead of saying, "She should never have done that. I can't believe how insensitive and inconsiderate she is. What a cold-hearted, evil person." Reframe your thoughts. "I wish she hadn't done that. I feel ignored and trifled with. How can I take care of my own emotional needs?" Summary. Anger is a basic secondary human emotion that impacts the body and mind. When acted out inappropriately, anger can be destructive. By paying attention to our anger, we can learn from it and develop deeper emotional intelligence. Application. Notice how your anger impacts you and your relationships. Become aware of how anger feels in your body so that you can notice and manage it earlier. Learn to learn from your anger instead of acting it out in destructive ways. For more information, why not take a look at some of these resources? Evaluation. Anger is a primary emotion. True or false?
What's the answer?
Our response to
What's the answer? Just do them all up and let them answer all of them.
False.
So the answer to number 1 is false.
Oh, yeah, no, it is a primary emotion. Sorry.
Okay. What about 2?
anger is learned.
True.
True or false?
True.
True.
Okay. Taking a time out gives you time to plan your attack against the other party. I like that myself. What's the answer?
Taking a time.
What's the answer to number 3?
Is it
True.
false? That's true?
True.
Or is it both?
No. It really is false. Taking your time out.
Oh,
gives you time.
okay. I thought it was false. I'm like, well,
Oh,
that don't sound right.
Number 4.
I usually like to plan my attacks.
True. Oh, I'm sorry. Who said that? She want to
No.
plan her attacks?
Joking, 'cause I said true until I actually really looked at it and I said, no, that's probably me though. I like to plan my attacks.
Oh my goodness.
We can work together, Donna.
It's called strategizing. And number 4,
I'm gonna say true.
a powerful teacher, it can teach us what we value.
It can teach us.
Yes,
Okay,
I would agree. True.
Let me ask you all now regarding, this is a sample of this particular video, gaining control of ourselves. And so you can see how it's closely tied in with the book. And so that you can use it however it is that you want. But Jairo, who's been with me, or was with me for like 23 years, what he did is that if he was going to discuss a particular topic, he would show them a video at the beginning before you go to the workbook. And then he would go to the workbook. How you do it is entirely up to you. But the question that I asked, can you see how clients in a class that you're teaching would gain from watching a video as well as reading something in a book, as well as
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So questions or comments regarding anything that we have covered this morning, and we'll give you the hour break for lunch.
I don't have any questions.
Okay,
I don't
comments.
think I have any either.
No questions, but what about comments?
I think I need an anger management class.
I think I'm.
You know what?
I think I'm taking one.
Yeah, I know. No, I know, but I meant like, yeah, that's true.
Another.
No, but like you said, actually, what we said earlier about taking what do you call it, the assessment test, and just actually answer questions actually kind of like makes you like think, hey, you know what? Really see yourself a little, assess yourself a little better. So yeah, just like taking this class is like, oh my gosh, I got a couple of these. And it happens on the 405.
Yeah.
I was glad that the guy was precise in mentioning the 405, because everybody in the state have heard of the 405, because it really is a problem. And you will discover that almost everyone winds up getting road rage referrals that come from incidents on the freeway in which the highway patrol, they don't make referrals actually, but they refer them to the court. And then the judges also, I must clarify, never make referrals. They just give you a list and you select a program and take it. Any questions regarding anything that we have covered today? In which case, I'll let you go. Otherwise, we have.
So I have one question, because I have what do they call it? So I have a nonprofit where I work with youth from 13 to 17, and I noticed is that on one part that when working with adolescents, teenagers, you shouldn't you should separate them.
What it says specifically, and what I have experienced specifically, is a young adolescent, and it gives you the ages, middle school kids, in contrast, should never be in the same group. Why? The older youngsters will manipulate or in some way be inappropriate in relation to the younger students. And so it's not my idea. It's not, ideas that came from no place. That's the experience pretty much worldwide. And so
so being that I have that age group, so should I just keep them separated? If
absolutely.
they are in the same class,
separate
the age group. Okay.
No. Whatever you're doing already, you keep doing whatever you're doing already. But if you're going to introduce this model for anger management, then yes, all of the things you're doing, you should discontinue. Otherwise, you're not using this model, you're using something different.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? So, Raj, can you instruct them how to leave their computers and save some time for me? You and I would chat a bit. And we'll see you back here at 1 o'clock Los Angeles time. It was an hour from now. No, this is an hour, 1 hour. This is a lunch break.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
Okay, I'm too scared of touching my computer, so you have to tell me a way that I can do nothing and make sure that it doesn't create a problem. Okay. Okay, I'm going for lunch, and so that I don't want to do anything on here. I'll come back at 1 o'clock. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, so when I come back, then what do I do? Okay. Thank you.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress. Recording stopped.